I love Kugisaki. Everyone does. If you ask any Jujutsu Kaisen fan about their thoughts on her, chances are very high that they will speak high of her. And it really isn't hard to understand why. She is expressive, funny, admirable, and she's the type of person you would like to know. But this is given extra weight and dimensions because of the type of story that Jujutsu Kaisen is. And the simple design of her character is ingeniously integrated with the rest of the story. Nobara is so important because her characterization operates in concrete contrast to a ton of elements in the narrative. In a world full of self-serving people with contradicting and complex takes on things, in a very complicated system that categorizes and oppresses certain individuals, Nobara is one of the few that just wants to live life the way she wants, while helping others if she can. And that is vital in multiple ways. Jeji Akutami is someone who incorporates narrative, tonal, and thematic balance, and that is true in regards to the cast of characters as well. This story is full of nuanced, subtle individuals with profound progression and complex characterization, but it is equally contrasted by beautiful simplicity that allows both sides of the coin to stand out as much as possible, and as a result, such a breadth of ideas and concepts are able to be explored. The complexity in the cast is extremely notable, but it is only as profound as it is because it's gorgeously balanced with the simplicity of characters like Todo, Miwa, Panda, and most simple of all, the stubborn independent girl from the countryside. Nobara is one of the closest things to a realistic person in this story. Jeji uses perspectivism and avoids moralizing to ensure that no one character has an archetypal label in his or her story, at least from a moral standpoint. But in a universe filled with tons of extraordinary people going on their own philosophies and doing a ton of good and bad things, where most people are tied by societal rules and family drama, Nobara finds herself to be an orthodox role model of sorts, one that grounds the story in passion and love. She brings this unique element of optimistic spirit, who is devoid of complicated search behind her actions and doesn't feel the necessity of justifying everything beyond what she thinks is right. The way that she is such a blunt personification of straightforwardness and confidence in comparison to her peers and her golden personality makes her one of the most relatable yet misunderstood characters in the story. But she is far more than your classical independent female trope, and this combined with the aforementioned spirit and simplicity make Nobara deceptively important and profound for what she represents throughout the story. The few chapters and episodes that she is introduced in can only be described as a subversion of expectations, with regards to her having described her only prevailing motive for becoming a sorcerer is that she will be able to live in Tokyo. She seems to be selfish, uninspired, and purposeless. She's not portrayed as a bad person at all, and her actions early on show her to be pretty decent. But there is not much to her character apart from that. Yet, when it comes to the exchange event, Momo is able to break through the hard outer shells, and we discover who this girl really is. In the past, Nobara had this older friend who she looks up to so much that when she left the village because of the way the people treated her, Nobara hated them for it, and the whole idea of leaving and going somewhere else, somewhere bigger, started to take roots. This is not just on the surface level, but thematically as well. This is Jeji's representation of breaking out of society's chains and expectations, and that's something that is profoundly communicated through Nobara as a character. Not only is she the exact opposite of what you expect from a shonen heroine, but she is extremely different, not only in the way she looks, not being over-sexualized and used as a love interest for one of the protagonists, etc., but in her philosophy, in the way she treats people. As Mary Not the Bad Guy pointed out in his video, her name Nobara, when broken down, means wild rose, which not only relates to her country girl status, but also in how roses are heavily related to the rest of her character. Like how different colors of roses all have meanings that matches with her hair color and personality. Given a fact about her that we know, she actively dyes her hair orange. It makes sense that her determination matches well with the orange rose's own meaning, as this color carries the meaning of enthusiasm and passion, which are two terms that describe Nobara amazingly, because she is passionate to live in a city so much that she is ready to risk her life for that, while carrying an enthusiasm while working as a sorcerer, spending her free time shopping, trying new food, and more. There is also the meaning behind the black rose, which is Nobara's natural hair color. The color black in roses signifies major change and the start of new things, which to Nobara that was Saori, who taught her that she can be both tough and beautiful at the same time, something that means a lot to her. When confronting Momo, Nobara responds to the argument and reasoning behind what women mean in the Jujutsu world and how they are treated with "keep that shit to yourself." Because like Gojo, she is incredibly driven by her own strength and her own values. She's a highly individualistic character. Jujutsu Kaisen is a manga that lets both selfish and selfless people exist without feeling the need to judge one as better than the others. Considering the people who Nobara connects with, Maki, Tadori, Saori, and Megumi, she is someone who likes those who are just like her, highly resistant to pain, whereas she dislikes those who show their pain, like Momo and Mai, and feel the need to lash out on others. In Nobara's world, people should be strong and self-confident like she is, and therefore they should not feel the need to lash out. In other words, she does not allow herself to be weak, and she does not accept others as well. Her philosophy is basically that she should be able to overcome everything in her life with her own self-love and her own personal strength, which is why she has no sympathy at all for the people who succumb to misery and misfortune, which makes her the exact opposite of Itadori. Nobara always thinks she is right and is convinced of this fact, even if it's just based entirely off of her personal opinions, whereas Itadori is someone constantly grappling with how wrong he is and how little he knows. Itadori and Megumi are burdened with others' problems. Nobara lives mostly for herself. Nobara, when on the edge of death, was basically willing to throw her life away and die, the most miserable death possible, if it meant taking down her enemy. She is so single-minded like that. She basically doesn't understand other people at all, especially the ones who do not share her mental fortitude. Finally, Nobara's compassion is unique, because she seems very aware of her own emotions. She holds herself to a certain standard and wears her emotion on her sleeves, even unconsciously. She felt guilt and regret in the Cursed Womb arc, wanting to become stronger after seemingly losing Yuji. In Origin of Obedience, Yuji asks her how she felt about killing the two Cursed Womb brothers, because they were still part human, and she responds very seriously but extremely sincere. She makes it clear to Yuji that she believes that what they had to do was necessary, and that anyone who isn't in her shoes can tell her what is right or wrong. It is such a profound way to show a character's mentality after committing murder for the first time, albeit in self-defense. It begs the question of how far Nobara would go to defend a decision she made in the heat of a moment, and just where her guilt threshold stands. Nothing about Nobara is surface level or can be understood at first glance. Her values, morals, mentality, and philosophy has yet to be fully explored by Okutami in the time of this video. Nobara doesn't heal, her curses inflict pain on others. She fights mainly for herself and to be strong, but she cares about the well-being of those she likes. As a character, she has a unique worldview, and also one so utterly different from both of the boys that she might be the one who balances out their eventual conflicts. She is very down to earth in essence and has no interest in ideals because she is constantly so frank about her own reality. From now on, this video will have major spoilers, so anime only watchers should consider leaving now. I will wait for a few seconds before I continue. As much as I don't like to leave this video on a sad note, I have to talk about what happened in the manga. As we all know, Nobara's status is yet to be known. Whether she is dead or alive has yet to be confirmed. It might seem very obvious that she is more likely alive than dead because of the fact that it took so long to reveal. If she is dead, then there is no point holding it for this long. But there is also another truth to this, that Nobara's character arc essentially concluded. Everything she was established as and everything she stands for is somehow complete. And other characters that have concluded their arcs are Nanami, Jugo, Geto, and Hanami. And one thing that these characters share is that they all died. We already know that the author gets rid of any character that doesn't have more to add to the story. And I'm afraid that Nobara does fall into this category, because other than the potential of meeting Saori and possibly being the one that balances out the conflict between Yuji and Megumi, there isn't much more to her personal arc than just being there. Unlike Maki, for example, who still has the path to reaching her full potential like Toji and the idea of her being the next head of the Zenin clan, it is almost impossible that she might die anytime soon. You probably get the idea by now. There is hope in the fact that Nita's technique may come in clutch and saves her, but this story is cruel as we know. Nobara herself said that it would have been bad if she died alone, or that she is the only one that dies. Something that the author himself adds more weight to when he said that by the end of the story, out of the 4 main characters, either one of them will die or only one will stay alive. The possibility is very high that she might die, but who knows, maybe Nobara will pop out of a box in the few next chapters saying "Oh puppy" and surprising Yuji as a revenge for when he once assumably died and she didn't know. Only time will tell us. Many thanks for watching.